everyone, Steve Hall back with another episode of Death Valley Discoveries. This is a very special episode, episode 11, and I'm back in the Owlshead Mountains. Right now I'm standing at Dart Crash Site. You can see right behind me the dart, which basically nosedives straight into the ground, and then looking up you can see it was pretty much perfectly preserved. So this is the most intact, best preserved dart that can be found in the Owlshead Mountains. It's quite an interesting spot to visit. But the real hike here for Death Valley Discoveries, episode 11, will begin tomorrow morning. Right now I'm going to do a short hike back to my vehicle, and then I'm going to camp here for the night before telling you more about the hike here that I'm going to be doing in the Owlsheads. Good morning from the Owlsheads. It's very windy today. Even some raindrops hitting me here as I'm slept overnight in the back of my truck. But it's time to get up and start getting ready for the hike today. Well, I've got my backpack all ready and I'm getting ready to head into the Owlshead Mountains. So last night I did a short hike over to the crashed dart to film that little intro you saw. And on the way I found a couple of these. So I think I was talking about these in one of my earlier episodes of Death Valley Discoveries. These bullet casings are commonly found here out on the Owlshead's ground. So picked up a couple to clean them out of there. But this is a very special episode of Death Valley Discoveries because I'm doing an overnight backpack into the Owlshead Mountains. And I'm going to be visiting several very special places, including Quartz Canyon, Owlshead Slot Canyon, Sand Canyon, and Owl Lake. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on this hike and tell you more about each of those places as I get to them. As I get started, I'm curious what my backpack is going to weigh for this overnight trip. So I got a scale. $47.2 pounds to start out. The backpack has begun. It is just incredibly windy. It's going to be a very tough time hiking until I get into the canyon. But the wind is supposed to die down later today. So just had to get through it. My parking area for this hike is the same place that I parked to go to Passage Canyon. So it's known as the parking area for Sand Canyon, and it's located 1.8 miles southwest of the Amargosa River crossing on Harry Wade Road. Right now I'm battling the wind, hiking up this nice canyon fan toward the range. This is what the terrain looks like heading up here into the range. This portion of the hike is one of the shortest between the road and canyons, as I only had to hike about 2.5 miles to get to my first objective, which is Owlshead Slot Canyon. Check out these dust storms blowing across the valley here. You can see how windy it is out. As we get closer to the canyon mouth, nearly at the base of the range, you can see the terrain has changed quite a bit. All right, I've reached the mouth here of what I call Owlshead Slot Canyon, with the actual slot being a little ways up the canyon. But the canyon has literally just taken shape. Very nice canyon wall here as Owlshead Slot Canyon begins to take shape. Found a little hillside arch right there as we get into our first area of decomposed granite, and you could see a wind sculpted rock up here. It has a smooth finish to it. Check out this beautiful display of flowers here in the canyon. Huge bush absolutely covered with these yellow flowers. I've dropped my pack right here. I'm going to climb up this little hillside in a few minutes, but just up ahead, I'm going to take you to see Owlshead Slot, which is the primary feature here in Owlshead Slot Canyon. Just behind me right here is Owlshead Slot Canyon. Now, I first found this place on April 17th, 2013. So that was about 11 years ago. And I'm not sure if I was the first person to discover this little slot or not, but what makes it really interesting is it's a short slot, but it's in between walls of decomposed granite. So that's something that is very uncommon. And years ago, I'd heard rumors before I found this place that there was a short slot canyon in the vicinity of Quartz Canyon. So I'm not sure if this is the one that was being referred to or not, but I did come across this when I looped this canyon with nearby Wind Caves Canyon. But this location is about 2.5 miles from where I parked. Let me go ahead and go in the slot and show you what it looks like. Again, some nice flowers out front of Owlshead Slot Canyon. There's the main canyon that way. I call that Owlshead Slot Canyon while calling this Owlshead Slot itself. See, a few rocks have caved in here from the canyon wall. Look at how narrow this is. Very narrow slot between decomposed granite walls. And very uncommon in the Owlshead Mountains. This is a neat spot. And it ends right here at this dry fall. I'm not sure how long this slot is. It's maybe 50 to 75 feet in length. Let me walk back through it. Then maybe I'll scramble up on the hillside and get one more view of it before moving on. Need to be back here after 11 years. Back at Owlshead Slot. Walking carefully by the side of the slot here, you can see down into the canyon. Looks quite incredible from above. A great view looking down here through Owlshead Slot. Again, what makes this place so special is that the slot is made of decomposed granite. So slot canyons, of course, are quite common in Death Valley, but not through decomposed granite. Here's the view. I climbed up and out of Owlshead Slot Canyon, and this is the view of the canyon as it heads on down. Now I'm going to cross over here, heading toward Sand Canyon. I've completed the crossover into Sand Canyon. Now, I first hiked Sand Canyon on March 17th, 2010. Today is actually March 15th, 2024, so almost exactly 14 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long since I was here in Sand Canyon. One thing I figured out quickly back then is that Sand Canyon is perhaps the nicest canyon in the Owlshead Mountains as far as scenery. So I'm really looking forward to sharing it as part of this discovery video. This canyon was actually discovered and named by Charlie and Scott, two hikers I mentioned in my past videos. And I believe Scott actually saw a desert tortoise as he hiked through Sand Canyon as well. So this is really exciting to be back here. Let's head on up Sand Canyon. Right about here, the canyon fully takes shape. You can see some small colorful hills right here. So I start heading up Sand Canyon. What is it that makes Sand Canyon such a special place? Well, there's quite a few factors, but I think of the great variety to the canyon walls. Then there's a fun and challenging bouldering section. And then there's hillsides of pinnacles rising up above the ground. And then the highlights come toward the end of the canyon where you have twin sand dunes, quite a rarity. And it all culminates with a view of Owl Lake at the very end of the canyon. So there's a lot packed in here, a lot to see as I backpack up Sand Canyon today. Hiking through the early part of the canyon, you can already see some giant boulders in the wash and above it. And a light rain continues to fall. Rain and wind have been the two features of the weather today. You can see all the boulders in the wash here. This is the beginning of what's known as the bouldering section of Sand Canyon. So the canyon's going to get more and more clogged with boulders until they will have to be climbed to progress. But for now, still fairly easy hiking up canyon. Huge boulder right here, split into 3 pieces. See right here where the rock has broken. Took a short break here right in the midst of the beginning of the bouldering section, but now I'm gonna get my pack on and keep going up canyon. Looking ahead, look at this view. Look at all these huge boulders up ahead, completely clogging the canyon. No canyon quite like this in Death Valley where all these boulders are all together in one place like this in the middle of a canyon. Looking ahead right here, you can see the challenge that lies ahead, trying to get through this massive boulder field to continue up canyon. This is the hard part of getting through Sand Canyon, finding your way through this mess and finding a route that goes through that's safe. I'm trying my best to bypass as many of these giant boulders by going around the right side, climbing a hillside here with some smaller rocks. See how far I can get before I need to cross over onto the boulders. I popped down into the main wash just to give you a glimpse of these giant boulders in the midst of Sand Canyon. Look at this major drop down right there. Again, I'm bypassing all of these huge boulders to the right. Here's another look just above that area. Some more of those giant boulders. Just bypassed the first half of the boulders using the right side hillside, but up ahead things are going to get even harder. This is what made me smile. Won't be able to climb up between these two boulders to go around them. Now I'm going to switch to trying to bypass on the left side for the second half of the boulders. See if I can find my way through here. Behind me here, this is known as Buttress Falls. This is a climbing spot here in Sand Canyon. Now, 14 years ago when I was here, I went right up this middle part and kept going in the canyon. But now, of course, I'm older and I have a 47-pound backpack with me. But I am going to just go up a little bit and just scout it and see how it feels these days. That's a no-go with the heavy pack. I'm gonna have to bypass this. Let me show you the two sides here of Buttress Falls. This is the right side. That's the part right there that you saw me trying to climb up. The middle portion of rock. See that? And then here's the other side. Kind of like a polished chute dry fall coming down right here. I'm standing here at Buttress Falls with my friend Jack, and Jack hiked with me up to this spot, getting through most of this bouldering section of Sand Canyon. He's going to turn around and head back down canyon, and I'm going to keep going on my backpacking journey. But Jack, how long you been coming to Death Valley?
Oh, about 20 years, a little more than 20 years, right around 20 years.
Nice. And what do you think of Sand Canyon, your first time up here, obviously?
It's the first time to the Owlheads in general. Most of the time up north, but Sand Canyon starts off just kind of nondescript, but it quickly turns into this amazing canyon. The decomposed granite, the colors. It's some of the best hiking terrain that you could want until we got to this boulder jam.
Very true. That's one thing I love about the Owlsheads too. But thanks so much for keeping me company hiking up here.
Thanks for inviting me, Steve.
We had a great time today.
Yes, sir.
There's Jack down there heading out. He's got to work his way back down this boulder bypass. See ya, Jack.
Take care, Steve. Have a good trip, brother.
Here's the view looking back down from Buttress Falls. And you can see right here the middle section where it sticks out between these two small slots. You can see if climbing up or down this, you wouldn't want to slip off one side or the other. Not a good idea with a heavy pack. A few more boulders to deal with. Heading up canyon. And look at this. Canyon is free and clear of boulders. Nice wash. Goodbye bouldering section. That was nice to have my friend Jack along for the first half of today's hike. As you saw, he's now turned around and heading back to his vehicle. But what was interesting, he mentioned, not only was this his first time in Sand Canyon, but it was his first time in the Owlsheads hiking. And I think that might go for a lot of you viewers who have been to Death Valley before. Many of you probably have not hiked in the Owlsheads. I know some have, but I would say the majority of those watching this have probably not hiked in the Owlshead Mountains. It's a very different and interesting place. It's harder to get to. The hikes are harder to to do because there's a great distance, for instance, between the road and canyons, but it's a different world here. There's a reason I love the Owl's Head so much, and in fact that today marks 1 month of time of my life hiking in the Owl's Heads. This is my 30th day. So yes, I love this place. From the top of Buttress Falls to my next key point of interest, which is the canyon junction between the twin sand dunes, the lower sand dune and upper sand dune. It's about 2 miles, but it's easy open canyon as I remember, like this. So it'll probably take me about an hour or maybe a little more to knock out these 2 miles. The yellow flowers of the brittle bush really have been brightening up the canyon. Quite expansive throughout the canyon. Gonna be passing by lots of decomposed granite hillsides. Starting to see more cactus the higher I get up the canyon. It's been a rough day weather-wise here in Sand Canyon. Very windy this morning. The wind actually kept me up most of the night, but mixing that wind in with some light rain here and there. Nice looking rock here along the canyon. More yellow flowers. They're pretty much everywhere. Circling around a very large oxbow here in the canyon. Canyon makes a big horseshoe. Here in the upper reaches of the canyon, getting very close to the viewpoint junction, but canyon's narrowed down quite a bit. Hillsides still sloping down to the wash, but the wash is a lot narrower. And there's even been a few boulders that have made it down, have to climb over, but nothing too challenging. Passing by an area on the right side of the canyon, and to me, this looks like a possible route to cross over into Passage Canyon. Right there. I think I'd make my way up that hillside or gully. Looks a little bit challenging, but I think I could do it and cross over into Passage. I was thinking about Sand Canyon, and I think this is probably the 3rd most hiked canyon in this range in the Owl's Heads, with the most popular probably being Contact Canyon, 2nd most popular being Through Canyon, and of course I haven't seen a single footprint as I've gone up canyon, so it's by 3rd most hiked. I don't mean it's hiked frequently, very infrequently. But what was interesting was there's a guidebook, Hiking Death Valley, and when he did his revision, I encouraged him to include Sand Canyon in it, and he ended up hiking it and including it in the guidebook. So that's one spot where you can get a lot more information about Sand Canyon in more detail than I'm sharing with you here. But I'm really enjoying being back here. That's one of the nice things about my discoveries video, is they're forcing me to get back out and re-hike some of my favorite places so that I can share them and have a video record. And so it's been really enjoyable going back to these places I love so much. Right here I'm standing at the actual junction. Going in this direction leads up to Upper Dune, and anyone who comes here on a day hike would definitely want to check out Upper Dune. But I'm going to be heading in this direction, which leads to Lower Dune and leads to the top of the range, or the basin. There's some nice small pink flowers, no doubt appreciating the rain more than I am. So right here I'm turning out of the left fork And you can see lower dune, lower sand dune right there. So I'm gonna kind of scramble up here and get to the dune using this little gully and climb. This is lower dune right here. And as you can see, got these nice pink purple flowers. Here's a neat spot. You can just see how deep and thick the sand is. I'm gonna cross over this part. Whoa. And come down here. See some more nice sand patterns down here, just above the little wash. Very nice. Very nice sand patterns. And check out this dune. Where it slopes right on down to the wash. Well, after about an hour and a half of nonstop rain, I finally caught a break. Hopefully my clothes and backpack can dry out now a bit. But behind me, I'm heading up this gully. At the very top of this gully is the top of the range, albeit the very top of the eastern Owlshead Mountains. Almost to the saddle just ahead, but wanted to show this incredible view of lower dune. Looking back down the gully I've been climbing in the hillside to that massive mountain of sand right there. Here's one final view looking to the east, as right here is the saddle between the two sides. This is the first view of the other side, as I'm now heading downhill to the west. Very nice wash heading down here, and pretty soon I'm going to be heading into what is known as prime desert tortoise habitat. Walking out of here with Sand Canyon on the opposite side, you can see a lot of sand has also blown over here into this wash. It probably won't show up on the video very well, but the very tip of Owl Lake is straight out that way. Have a better view of that later. But look here, the basin at the other side of the range in the Owl's Heads. This is my first time hiking here in this basin area. Years ago I did hike from Owlshead Mountain Road over to Owl Lake, but I've never actually connected Sand Canyon here with this side, although when I first hiked Sand Canyon I did hike up to a viewpoint and have a nice view of Owl Lake, which the way I came this time I couldn't see Owl Lake like I could last time. As mentioned, I'm actually passing through what's known as prime desert tortoise habitat. However, I definitely wouldn't call this prime desert tortoise weather, so I don't expect to see one today. Desert tortoises are a difficult sighting in the Owl's Heads. I've only seen one once. Let me look over here. We have a tortoise burrow. Indeed. Very nice desert tortoise burrow right here. I always scan my head back and forth like this while hiking in hopes of spotting a desert tortoise. Obviously doesn't pay off much, but increases my chances in theory. But what's next for today? Day one of this special episode of Death Valley Discoveries. Now that I've hiked the entire length, I've through hiked Sand Canyon, gotten to the basin on the other side of the range here. I'm going to continue hiking about 3 miles to Owl Lake. That's where I'm going to set up camp tonight. It'll be a very special campsite on Owl Lake. And the nice thing, just as I've crossed over here, The wind has died down quite a bit, just a slight breeze now. And there's no more rain. So hopefully this weather will stand, because Owl Lake is not a good place to be in a windstorm. Taking a look around. Distances are so hard to judge out here. Heading in this direction, Owl Lake is now just a little over 2 miles away. See some darker hills here, hillsides, and then back the way I came from Sand Canyon right there. Terrain is staying fairly consistent. Really nice for walking. Very pretty too. So much greenery out here. Passing through a very nice field of desert gold. Oh, they're everywhere out here. Very nice. Look at all these desert golds. Truly beautiful. There in the distance, about 1 mile away, I can now clearly see Owl Lake. And a bit of rain started up again. Passing through another very pretty area of desert golds. Notice the different rock type coming down from that hillside here. And lots more yellow flowers. Here's a great view of all of Owl Lake. I'm less than a mile away from the lake, but see a potential campsite right over here by these rocks. Let me go check it out. Here's that area I was looking at for a campsite. I think it's gonna work. Perfect little campsite here. Now there's a reason I chose this spot. I don't want to camp on Owl Lake because that could get very windy, dusty, and when you're at ground level at the lake, you can't really see it very well. But right here, I have a little flat area. I have some rocks to help shelter the wind, and also to put to sit on and to put cooking and supplies on. But along with that, I have a beautiful view of Owl Lake from camp. I can see it because I'm up above it. So this seems like a perfect campsite for tonight. Now that was nice. The sun came out for the first time today at 5 o'clock p.m. I'll take it. Camp is all now set up. Took about 20 minutes, and my dinner's ready at the same time. I got some beef pasta marinara, so I'm gonna eat that right now. All right, finished dinner. Camp, of course, is all set up, and it's gonna get dark in about 1 hour. So I'm gonna take a stroll down to Owl Lake. It's 7/10 of a mile from here, so I might do about a mile to Owl Lake and then a little bit in, and then come on back. Might be about a 20-30 minute walk down there. This is camp. You can see all the greenery right here, but I'm just above a wash, so I'm gonna just drop into this wash right here and follow it on down to the lake. Love the sky this evening. Might be a pretty sunset. Just taking a casual, easy walk down to Owl Lake. Such a nice walk. It's a pleasant walking path here with flowers on both sides. The weather's nice out. Very nice evening. I gotta say, this is quite awesome. There is no wind at all. The wind's totally gone. Just total silence here. No burrows in sight. Nothing. Just walking across Owl Lake out toward the center. With all the crazy weather today, it's so nice to be out here under peaceful conditions, enjoying this evening walk across Owl Lake. It's perfect out here. So much peace and tranquility. Let me finish off with the 360 of Owl Lake. This is looking to the south and turning toward the west here, where the sun is now setting. And now I'm looking to the north, and then finally to the east. The range in the background right there, let me zoom in just a little bit, but that is where I came from earlier today with the backpacking. Here's a little bit of a circular depression, perhaps a low spot in comparison to surrounding areas of the lake. That's about it for day one here at Owl Lake. The journey continues tomorrow with day two as I get back through the range using Quartz Canyon. So more on that in the morning. Good night, everyone. And I'll leave you with a little bit of footage of the sunset as I walk back across Owl Lake toward camp. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day two out here at Owl Lake. I had a good 10 hours of sleep and it actually started raining again this morning. So here we go with another day of hiking in the rain. I'm just gonna eat my breakfast now, pack up and start hiking. Leaving my campsite behind right there. Perfect spot to camp last night, overlooking Owl Lake. The first thing I need to do on this rainy morning is to get around the tip of this hillside and begin hiking toward where I came from yesterday. But I'm going to use a different route to get back, but I'm going to start off in the general direction. At this point, I can see the canyon I'm going to be heading into straight in the middle. It's about 1.5 miles from here to that canyon entrance, and that leads into the junction of Quartz Canyon and South Quartz Canyon. I have more to tell about those canyons once I get up closer to them and into them. I was looking at the mileage for yesterday. In total, with backpacking and my evening walk to Owl Lake, I did about 12 miles yesterday. And today I'm doing about the same, about 12 miles. But today will be quicker and easier. There will be a few challenges along the way, but nothing like trying to get up Sand Canyon through that giant boulder blockade in the canyon with a heavy backpack. Not to mention that my backpack's about 10 pounds lighter today due to lost water weight. So it's raining right now, but there's no wind. Not all that bad. Not typical spring weather here, but I'm enjoying it. Drawing closer to that gap in the mountains right ahead. A little bit of uphill, but very easy terrain. Looking back toward Owl Lake. Do you hear that sound? You may hear a few raindrops, but that's the sound of peace and quiet and solitude. Can't hear anything out here. It's so peaceful and quiet. As you can see here, I've made it to the edge of the range. I came out of Sand Canyon over 1 mile in that direction yesterday, but now I'm heading up into Quartz and South Quartz Canyon. Of course, I've never hiked in this area before. The rain just doesn't want to let up today. Never thought I'd be using my rainproof backpack cover in Death Valley. But as I get into Quartz Canyon and South Quartz Canyon, I wanted to mention something about using the word discoveries. Of course, this series is called Death Valley Discoveries. It includes places that myself, friends, and others I know discovered here in the park, or were the first to document. And when we say we discovered something, that doesn't mean we claim to be the first person to ever walk through an area. Because you think about it, we have Native Americans, we have miners, we have past hikers who might have gone through the area but just been hiking off the grid and not shared anything. But in the sense that we're the first persons to ever document and sometimes assign an informal name to an area and share with the world what can be found there, at least what we're allowed to share. So that's why we classify it as a discovery, but just want to keep that in mind. Just walk around this hillside here with this outcropping. Just really impressed by this. Look at the way these boulders have fallen and stacked. Cactus here with some bright colors. Climbed up a ridge to check out this pinnacle. Couldn't believe the triangular or pyramid shape to it as it sticks up out of the hillside. Very neat. You can see where I am right here. I climbed up. I'm still at the back of the range, but you can see I'm gonna head straight ahead. The canyon kind of curves to the right there and then to the left later. That's the backside of South Quartz Canyon, whereas Quartz Canyon would turn left right here. This route leading over to South Quartz Canyon, which is on the backside of the range still, gradually going uphill towards a saddle. This seemed like the best way to get back to the other side of the range. When I studied it at home, it looked like trying to get through Quartz Canyon, which again is behind me. back up in there. That looked a lot more difficult and harder to get through. So I'm just trying to find the easiest route to get over, and eventually I'll be crossing over to Quartz, but it's gonna be a lot to see as I get over here. Here is a cholla. Looks like it's doing well. Well, in the upper reaches, this canyon has really narrowed down. Started out super wide, and now just about 5 feet between the walls right here. And it looks like this side comes to an end just up this little rock-filled gully. Really easy route to the top here. Right here is the saddle between South Quartz Canyon on the left and then the opposite side, which I just climbed up here on the right. In fact, looking out here, I can actually see Owl Lake, my highest viewpoint of it on this 2-day backpack. Let me zoom in for just a moment. And then check it out. These hills are covered with a bit of fog, an unusual sight here. And this is the area I'm going to begin heading down. I'm at the head of South Quartz Canyon, heading down it a short distance. There's the view of Owl Lake behind me, but I'm about to begin crossing over and heading down South Quartz Canyon, so I wanted to just tell you briefly about those canyons, South Quartz and Quartz. But right now I'm standing at 2,260 feet in elevation at this pass. Quartz Canyon and South Quartz Canyon were discovered and named by myself and Charlie, who is a friend and was the former wilderness coordinator here in Death Valley. I mentioned him in previous videos. But we named it Quartz Canyon because we found extensive quartz diggings and quartz rock in the canyon. And no doubt past mining activity. Of course, now all of that quartz has to be left in place, but I'll see if I can find a few samples to show you along the way. And South Quartz Canyon, the one I'm in now, is just south of Quartz Canyon. And this canyon has a series of dry falls that have to be navigated or climbed down. So I'm not going to spend much time in this canyon. Not interested in bypassing and climbing down dry falls with this backpack and with the rock wet due to rain. So I'm going to be getting out of this canyon shortly and heading toward Quartz Canyon. And one more important thing I forgot to add is that I first hiked Quartz Canyon on March 10th, 2009, a little over 15 years ago. And Quartz Canyon served as my personal introduction to the Owlshead Mountains. It was my very first hike here. It's only fitting that on my 31st day of hiking in the Owlsheads that I'm returning there for the first time, a little over 15 years later. I think it's only fitting that just seconds into dropping into South Quartz Canyon, I find some quartz. A lot more to come. I see some quartz coming down the gully over there, but look at this. Look at the size of this quartz boulder. This is quite impressive. Look at this. It's about 4 feet tall. And another quartz boulder breaking down right here. So naturally I've hit the first of many of the South Quartz dry falls. I got to scramble around this. But South Quartz Canyon continues to the right here, but I'm actually going to go left and pop up on that low spot here on the ridge and do a little bit of a ridge crossing. I'm now standing up above South Quartz Canyon. I attained this small ridge I wanted to be on. Just wanted to show you some of these cliffs in the background. Really impressive looking back there. I am doing a little bit of a crossover here. I'm gonna be working my way to some low points along the ridge. So I've marked some spots on my GPS that I need to get to. And that was the first point right back there where I stopped above the canyon. And now I got to get to the next couple of points. I'll show them to you as I go. But I am sure glad that at home when planning, I did not plan to go down South Quartz Canyon because it is loaded with dry falls and they're wet today. I haven't been able to take out every single balloon I've seen today because some of them are all crumbled up and got all wet and muddy. But I'm taking as many as I can out. Put them in my pocket or my pack and then dump them later. So much litter with these balloons out here. Check out this fog blowing across the range. Quite a sight here. Not too common. That's South Quartz Canyon down there. And this is my next marker point, that low spot just ahead. Here's another nice view looking down into South Quartz Canyon with a towering hillside of green topped by fog. And my next marker point is right there. These marker points have been really easy to get to. Here's the view looking ahead. I've got some rugged downhill, we'll call it, for a little bit as I'm continuing to try to reach a crossover wash in between South Quartz and Quartz. Kind of like a main crossover wash, not a random one like I'm taking. Really eerie sitting at this spot here, about to drop down and head towards Quartz Canyon, and just watching the fog roll across and blow in. Check out this short time lapse of it. See, the fog is just coming through, filling this little valley I'm trying to drop into. Really neat but eerie. Not used to seeing this on Death Valley hikes. The weather totally changed in the last 20 minutes. Most of the fog is cleared. As you can see, this is looking back towards South Quartz. You can actually see the hillsides. And looking over the other side toward Quartz, this is where that fog was just a short time ago, and now it's totally clear. So we've gone from rain to fog to some sun. Feels good to have some warm weather as I begin hiking down toward this basin in the middle of the range. And I'm going to continue heading north to get into Quartz Canyon once I get down. Check out this area of quartz on the ground. It's all over. Taking this crossover wash to the north. So this connects that upper area, upper basin, with Quartz Canyon. Still making my way down this side drainage, although it's opened up a bit. Wash is a bit easier to hike through. I'm happy to report I have completed the crossover. I have made it into Quartz Canyon. Check out this view up canyon. Wanted to take a moment and show this open basin area. It's like a circular basin. And this stretches all the way across in this direction toward Wind Caves Canyon and Owlshead Slot Canyon. I could cross over to them from here. But I'm heading down this, which is Quartz Canyon. You can see how wide open it is as I'm hiking down middle Quartz Canyon. But the canyon will close up just down below and get a lot more interesting. I've reached the spot where the canyon narrows down, so I've got 1.5 miles of canyon to get to the mouth. We'll have some very interesting scenery. I also wanted to take a moment here and do a shout out of thanks to Charlie, the one who initially planned this hike 15 years ago when I came up Quartz Canyon and looped into South Quartz, because he introduced me to the Owl's Heads, and he also taught me how to loop canyons and to see two instead of one. And that's knowledge that I went on to use for many years in the future, and that I can potentially pass on to others, at least those who have the skills and ability to do desert hiking in rugged areas like this, which requires really good self-navigation. Nice hillside here above Quartz Canyon. Notice the caves about 3/4 of the way up. Kind of reminds me of Wind Caves Canyon, the next canyon to the north. Maybe I'll share that on a future Discoveries video. Here's a reminder that even though we discovered Quartz Canyon and named it for hikers, we were not the first to ever come in here. We got a mining claim marker right here, rising up out of the wash. Look at the boulders on this hillside, especially this one right here. I can barely fit it in the frame. It's so huge. Looking back at that boulder and a smaller boulder right here that created a dry fall I had to work around. Nice looking canyon moving forward here. No footprints in the wash, and I wouldn't expect to see any from hikers. The Owlshead Mountains are not hiked out frequently, but the wild burros do make use of the canyons here, so I may see their tracks from time to time. The hillsides are absolutely loaded with these yellow flowers. I believe that's brittlebush. Been seeing a lot of Mojave aster flowers. Very pretty. So much scenery on both sides of the canyon. I really do love Quartz Canyon. Very scenic. There's the view looking back up canyon. I just popped up here above the canyon because I saw this neat circular depression in the rock. That's a pretty neat natural feature there. Just some fantastic rocks here in Quartz Canyon. Really impressed with the scenery here. Look at this massive wall I'm walking straight towards. You can see what looks like a layer of quartz showing here high on the canyon wall. The canyon has opened up quite a bit again as I'm drawing close to the mouth. Here's some more quartz. And look right here. Obviously, before this was added to the national park, you could see somebody did some digging there to pull out some quartz. Approaching the canyon mouth. Can't believe I've just hiked through Quartz Canyon and I'm already going to be leaving it behind. Sad moment. As I was passing by this heart-shaped rock at the mouth of the canyon, it just reminded me of a photo of my wife taken here, which at that time would have been 2.5 years after we got married. So definitely a long time ago. I'll share the picture right here if she allows me to. And look at here. We have a pile of quartz here right at the mouth of the canyon. Very nice looking specimens there. Kind of an interesting marker. We have a pile of quartz, and then right there we have the canyon mouth for Quartz Canyon. Very well named. Here's one of the pieces. I just picked it up for a closer look. I'm heading out of Quartz Canyon now. Just heading out of the mouth. And it's a 3-mile hike back to my vehicle, which I'll be completing this 24-mile 2-day backpack. But yeah, Quartz Canyon and South Quartz Canyon, very well named. There's more quartz than I showed on the video. We found quartz up on top of some of the hillsides that we went up to. Some quartz diggings and even nicer specimens than that pile of quartz at the canyon mouth. So there's a lot to see when exploring and looking around, but really neat canyon. Enjoyed coming back here and hiking through it again. To get back to where my truck is at the parking area for Sand Canyon, I kind of got to cut across this fan diagonally, but drainage crossings aren't all that bad. This is all excellent terrain. 2 miles away at this point. I'm just minutes away from getting back to my truck, and that will wrap up this backpacking trip to Sand Canyon, Owl Lake, and Quartz Canyon. This was episode 11 of Death Valley Discoveries, which is my ongoing series, sharing episodes of places I personally discovered or co-discovered in Death Valley National Park, or that friends discovered, or places that I was first to share with the world as far as interesting hiking destinations here in the park. In addition, keep in mind I do have a feature-length film series entitled Death Valley Adventures that you can also check out, which feature 3+ days of backpacking for each of those full-length films. So with Death Valley Discoveries and Death Valley Adventures, I've got a lot that I've shared and will hope to share in the future with you.